Hey guys, this is part 2 of What If Ben Gained Geass. Now this is going to focus on Alien Force, and this is part 2, so part 3 is going to be Ultimate Alien, and of course, here we go into this video. So now, Ben is just playing some soccer, and then of course, C2 comes to remind him about the code contract, and he said he might do it eventually, it takes years. And he does swear that he will commit a contract. And then, of course, after the soccer match, he, of course, fights a DNA alien. He geasses him for answers about the hybrid. And, of course, he still gets his omnitrix. He recruits Kevin and Gwen, or Kevin decides to join him and fight the Forever Ninth. He geasses him to surrender. Then, episode 2, he fights the robot dragon, tells her to commit suicide, and then of course the plumber dies, which is sad, even if he gassed him to live, yeah. And then of course they defeat the hybrid general for now, and then there's Alan with the hay blast thing, yeah. Everything plays out the same with Alan. Then of course he gasses Volcanus to be in a coma for a year, I guess. Arjit is gassed to I don't know about Arjit, he's gonna come back, and of course Michael Morningstar shows up, and everything plays out the same. And of course, after Max out, where he gasses Michael Morningstar to not attack the girls, which is good. So there's no he doesn't go ugly, and then there's and then of course in Max out, Max still goes into the null void. And of course, thankfully, Ben does not geass Julie into forgetting about the whole truth about Ben having geass. And of course, the whole events of the grandma play out the same. And of course, then Ben geasses JT to take off the hand later on. Then we get Paradox. Ben just uses geass on that Aeon type alien, and then of course they free the other dragon, and then of course the plumber kids, he gasses the plumber kids to understand, and then the gas wears off, then they go in the null void. That's season 1. Now let's get to season 2. So in this case, we open up with Rodney, nazroni, so he turns good immediately, while later on Ben does not use geass on him, while he geasses him to survive the encounter, and then he heals him with swarmfire. And then we have Albedo. Albedo also has the geass of his own. I think it was granted by some other user, like a skull, like in Akito the Exiled, like a geass coming from that code skull, yeah. And then Albedo still becomes white, and his geass turns red, kind of like Kaneki, like how his hair turns white because he was damaged. I think he was physically or mentally tortured so badly, and his hair turned white. And of course, Azimuth shows up, takes his omnitrix, and now uses it as a project and puts use in it. Now, I'm not really sure if Dark Star would show up, but even if he did, everything would play out since Ben can't use his geass twice. Then of course we have Big Chill multiplying itself. Then of course we have when Cooper is let out, well, yeah, it's easier because he's using his geass on the but he has to use it more fairly, because so they don't exploit the DNA aliens won't exploit the power. Then of course, hard to say, but then of course the ship incident would still play out normally, and then of course just skip the part where Ben's parents find out who he is, and then there is Simeon, I guess, and then just more, and then of course after Simeon, where he geasses Simeon, and then later on there's the one with the green alien with the power generator from the DNA aliens. Yeah, that plays out the same, but more easier. Then we get to the final battle with he geasses, well, let's just say Ben still uses aliens and uses geass, and of course he finally gets to the hybrid place, and he cures them all, the council of those hybrid people, except the general But we know that Roni is cured, so that wraps up Season 2, and he might potentially geass Azimuth into Master Control, but he chooses not to. So, in Season 3, Vilgax has his own geass. It's kind of like Charles's, or potentially L's. So, basically, he geasses most of the good guy. Well, nah, he doesn't want any good guy on his side, so he can rewrite their memories. Nah, instead, he might just want or it could be like Shin's geass. Well, nah, but it's only for people that he hates, and yeah. But Ben's immune to this geass, and Ben still loses Chromastone and becomes Diamond Head. And then, of course, yes, I suggest that Vilgax is going to use his geass on most of Ben's enemies to work for him, using Charles's geass to rewrite memories. Like, he still uses the geass to kill people as well. Same with Lelouch. And of course, throughout the stories, Ghost Free comes back in the Omnitrix later. Then, of course, the Diamond Head planet is brought back. And still unlocks Lodestar and Wrath. But looks like everything will be much easier with his geass. Like, he geasses the council members during that story arc with the Frito brothers when they're trying to get rid of take his girlfriend's pet upgrade ship. Yeah. And let's just cut to Alberto making the Ultimatrix. Yeah. And of course, Ben still loses on the tricks. And then of course Ben does not use. And then of course Ben's geass goes to a point where he couldn't turn it off. Yeah, but it also goes to a point where it's showing up on both of his eyes, and then he just wishes. You see, so they're at C's World now, and basically Vilgax but takes V2's contract, and then, of course, Ben shows up. And, of course, he sets the Omnitrix on self-destruct mode, like normal, like in the original movie. And then then it just explodes. And, of course, Ben could have just geassed Vilgax to not keep it on until... Yeah, but technically, even if he geasses Vilgax has a strong amount of willpower to resist Ben's geass. And so Ben might not want to use it on him because if he doesn't want to miss an opportunity. And then of course the Omnitrix is destroyed. Ben still gets the Alien Force Ultimatrix, I'm going to call it, and then everything plays out the same with Ultimate Swarmfire. But technically V2 is now mortal again because now we have Vilgax is the new V2. Kind of like how Lelouch is the new L2, because Light was L2 in Death Note, then Lelouch became L2, because they both have L in their name. And then, of course, Vilgax dies, and then his code resurrects him. Well, he could have just taken C2's contract if he wanted to keep his geass, because Ben takes Vilgax's code, and Vilgax does not kill himself and become V2. No, basically Ben takes the code before he becomes V2. So the only way for Ben to become immortal is that he has to experience death. Well, Ben doesn't want to experience death now. He'll maybe much sooner. So now he's got V2's code. And of course, Vilgax has no code, and he's still revived by this alien cult leader situation. So that's it for part 2 of this What If. I'll make a part 3 in the future. Thanks for watching. But hey, now we should go to my channel and go to how to dub the recap movies for Code Geass, just to make sure that you don't miss out. So they made some recap films with some new scenes and footage, like Shirley being alive, and some new dialogue changes, like saying thank you instead of well then. And you see, we need 1,500 votes. So click the red button at the bottom of the video and click it, and then you'll be voting. And you can only raise like $3 or $7 for it. Really cheap. And now let me just show you one of the comments that I really like. And it just relates to me, really. and other dub fans like me. And it says, not dubbing this is a terrible mistake because most recap films are dab. And as always, thanks for watching.